First, click on the index.html to launch the program. Click on the Data Configuration tab and click the default template to start with. This is where you create your initialized data. You can click to expand or adding more variables. Let's try some building first on the status menu. We will first add a basic block. Let's call this block world. Let's add a date. Currently it was selected as a text. Let's make this a stat row so that I can assign a label and display a value. Now let's add time. We now create a new block below for main character stats. I want to have the blocks side by side. Let's assign 50% of width. Adding more stats from main char. Let's add a HP bar card from the drop-down menu. We will take the current HP and max HP to get the bar working. Any of these blocks can be dragged around. We can add image as well. The image was a URL when we defined in the Data Configuration tab. You can also change the ratio of the image. We now add a new block for listing, which the variable is a collection of items. You can click on individual item in a collection to see the detail. Since this is an inventory, let's make it a grid so that it's compact. I forgot to add equipment's collection. Let's go back up and add it. Let's say I want to have more variables, for example, strength. I can go to Data Configuration tab to add it. Drag and drop works here as well. You might want to look into the default template what type you should use. We can now choose the strength variable from the drop-down list. It's now showing on the preview screen. The Schema Output tab is used by Zod. We will get into this later. Basically, this is where you define what AI can save and what the structure of the variable is. If that variable is a collection, you will have to click the collection box. Anything that will logically can have more than one item would be a collection. For example, equipment is a collection because you can have more than one equipment. You will want to check each variable that you want to force AI to use the exact same pattern when adding. For example, I want inventory always include variable type, QD, and Desc. You notice that I didn't check beginner sword as collection because it's logically not a collection. Usually a generic variable like inventory, equipment, friend would be a collection. Before we continue, we can export the config so that we can import back into the system without rebiting it. We can import back into the system or send to your friend to share your build. Let's put the initialized data into our world info lorebook. Control A, and then Control C to copy. Go into SillyTavern and go into your lorebook, find the entry init var. We will just overwrite whatever inside, and these will be the startup data for the character. We now copy the complete schema and then paste into the Tavern Helper Scheme tab. Zod scheme is basically a tool for Tavern Helper to govern what data type and what should be saved into our MVU variable. For example, we defined our inventory should only have 3 subvariable inside, which is type, QD, and Desc. So, every time when AI add an item in inventory, it will always only have type, QD, and Desc. We will not click on Scheme on Tavern Helper 3rd tab and overwrite whatever inside. JSON patch is the instruction to tell AI how to add, amend, remove entry into your defined variable. Using the same example, we tell AI whenever you add new item in inventory, this is the format to add, amend, or delete. Then we copy and paste into the COT guide in lorebook. You can place anywhere you want in the COT guide, but I recommend to structure a bit so that AI could read it better. The best way would be using a text editor to edit and then paste it back. It will have a better structure. I personally recommend Notepad++ editor instead of editing inside this GUI. The template tab is used to create custom look for listing. The layout drop-down list have free pre-configured type, but a custom type allow you to define your own presentation for listing. We choose custom and layout and give a template name. Now the template tab show the template test 1 with default simple listing layout. For the sake of testing, just change the color and add some text. You can completely change the layout to whatever you want. No limit. When you go back to Builder tab, you can see the layout and background color of listing was changed based on the change of CSS. Some cards support the feature lorebook, for example, the image card. Basically, you set what lorebook entry to retrieve from. This example is pre-7D map. The example I showed here is to retrieve a string from pre-7D map in the lorebook, which happened to be a URL. the image card, take that URL and make it into an image. Finally, go to the Export HTML tab and click on the Copy HTML button on the upper left. Finally, paste the content into regex's status menu too. Start a new chat and delete chat file, and the status menu should be already working like the one you just built. We now get into advanced logic section. This is very powerful, but might be only suitable for advanced creator with JavaScript skill. Let's make a stat row and read the data from Lorebook. There is an advanced logic below stat row. By default, it will grep content from the Lorebook key text box. I can use JavaScript to build some logic. The logic here is to check my level and return which Lorebook entry I should get. It's JavaScript here. For non-collection item, we will use the global variable root for the source and type in the full path. In the example here, we are checking main char level if it is bigger than 70. If it is bigger than 70, we will read Lorebook entry post 70 map, else read from pre-70 map from source root. If we work in collection item like familiar, we will have to use the source stat and relative path like core points instead of familiar, core points instead of familiar. Because we need to loop inside familiar, which is more than one familiar, we need to use the relative source stat and relative path core points. The logic here basically return red text core points if core points are more than 0. The getV function has a 0 at the end. It is the default value if nothing is retrieved. You can see that we are using source stat and relative path for all entry inside collection familiar. For single item, we use source root and full path like main char, level, main char, level line. You can see that I use the same JavaScript for the map image card as well. We will export the HTML and copy into the status menu just like we showed before. You can see that we are retrieving content inside Lorebook post 70 map. If we change the main char level less than 70, the map image and the string URL should change as well right away. Same goes for the core points. If it is bigger than 0, it will become red text. It will become white text when it's 0. That's the logic we build in advanced logic under core points. If you spend your time on the builder, you can build something like what I did.